December 4, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart on NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It's pretty choppy, similar to yesterday. This is what happened yesterday. I didn't take any trades because it's just very choppy. Today was similar, very choppy, but I did identify a few more setups. Now, this is what the chart looked like before. So, well, without anything drawn, it looks like it was just one big leg up, pull down. Then you can tell it's kind of in a sideways consolidation. It's a failed breakout here and a failed breakout here. This is how I drew up the chart. It looks pretty messy because I have these measured move lines here to help me figure out where there might be a bounce point. For the most part, a lot of them did pan out. I also want to point out that I drew these support lines because I couldn't find really consistent ranges, but I could find like areas where they were bouncing. So I didn't really quite turn them into a trading range until it was clear they were looking like they're in a range. Also, there's only one piece of economic data that came out around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here where my cursor is. This is where the unemployment claims came out. And then other than that, there wasn't any other economic data that came out. I did manage to take one trade, which is right here. It's a higher low. It was profitable. And now I've reduced my profit target from 2 points down to 1.5 points or 6 ticks. I've been keeping track of my metrics and I've noticed well, of course, when you go for a higher risk reward, your winning percentage goes down. Because if you're just going for 1 point scalp, but you're risking a lot more than 1 point, you're going to need a higher accuracy, but it's also easier to get that 1 point. So for a while, I was testing a 2 point scalp with about a 3 point loss. And I've noticed it's not so much the risk reward, but in certain markets, it's a little harder to get the full 2 points when it's very choppy and very noisy. Easier certainly to get 1 point scalp, but if you lose on that trade, you're probably risking, I don't know, 2, 3 points, maybe even 4, and you'd have to do a lot of 1 point wins to recover that. So what was appealing at one time was doing the 2 point scalp with a 3 point loss. Seems a little bit more manageable when prices were choppy. But I've noticed there have been a couple of times like setups look like they wouldn't have gotten 2, would have gotten 1, but maybe 1.5, so about 6 ticks. So I've been experimenting and I've been going to trade for a little while using 6 tick profit target and see how that goes. And maybe I'll just kind of find a middle point there, probably using 6 ticks instead of 2 ticks. But as my chart read gets better, I'll probably have a better idea that a 2 point profit target is more realistic or more achievable with my accuracy going up. So just kind of a little insight that I've been thinking about and I'm going to start implementing. But I'm going to go into the trades right now. So the pre-market, it was just choppy. It pushed up on this big leg. It comes down right before the open. It looks like it was going down this orange leg, but for the most part, you could tell it's just very, very noisy. You could say there's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long bounce off the EMA. It's a terrible signal bar. In real time, this is what you see, and you'd have to be prepared to take an order off the signal bar, which is right here. And that's not very good. Pushes up. Looks like it breaks out of this orange down channel, goes back down, and then bounces. And I do see a higher low here, but I call it an almost trade because in real time, I don't really like this because this is also 2 minutes right after the open. It's a decent signal bar. It's just the first break of this orange down channel, but this orange down channel, it's just very, very congested. These candles aren't really making clean moves in a clean direction. Yes, it is coming downwards, but look at the size of these things. They're pretty much side by side. So it's a higher low called an almost trade. It probably would have worked for a 1 point scalp. And it flushes down, bounces, creates a first entry short, pull back. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but this is seeing this in real time. It's a little ambiguous because I did have one time thinking there was some kind of support here. Yes, you do have enough room to the lows, but this is a second entry short above the EMA. So here I wanted to wait for a lower high confirmation. So you don't really get a lower high. I mean, technically you have a lower high here, but it's already above the EMA. It just negates the whole setup completely. Looks like it has 2 legs up. Starts pushing back down. You technically have a localized high, first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here, but it doesn't really set up for anything. I do draw this orange down channel to kind of capture this price action right here. So it looks like Prices might be kind of a spike and then a gradual channel. One thing I do know for sure is it's pressing and going to test the low of the pre-market and is staying below the EMA. So I'm just watching carefully. These candles aren't very appealing. Yes, you can find second entries all over the place, both second entry longs and second entry shorts. But I'm trying to work on getting the context right before I start looking for the second entry setups. The prices keep moving down. Looks like it's following into this yellow or this orange down channel pretty nicely. I have this high side, the second swing, drawn as a trend line initially because I actually had a couple other ones at something like this early on, but I didn't like this big spike. It was looking not hitting the best, so I did keep it for a little while. It broke out and it just got a little bit noisy, so I ended up deleting it. But when it gets down to here, I do draw this, especially when it came down to here and created this low. I turned it into a channel, created this big yellow down channel, but it's not really confirmed by a third touch yet, but it looks like prices are at least moving down. It hits the low side of this pre-market low, so I'm expecting potentially a bounce. It creates a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, creates a second entry short right here. The second entry short I actually thought was a possible trade because it actually is 2 legs up from this orange down channel. This orange down channel technically needs to test the low. It's a break of this green up channel, so it is an early break, tested the high. So it did test the high, so I'm thinking this green up channel is played out. Prices are coming back down. I do like that this trigger bar engulfed this mediocre signal bar and it closed near the low. So I'm thinking there is enough room for a 1 point or a 6 tick scalp, so 1.5 point. But it happened pretty quickly, so I'd have to pretty much enter right here at the lows, and I wasn't quite in tune, so I never took it. Pushes down, it would have worked. Kind of starts chopping sideways, kind of going into a sideways consolidation. I thought it might be in this blue trading range, but I also thought maybe the range might be at the high side where this red line is. So I'm keeping in mind this could be the entire range, or this blue one could be it. So localized lows. The first entry short, technically you have a second entry short here. It doesn't really confirm anything. It's not the cleanest setup because when you see this, I'm not really ready to take a trade selling into this potential low, this potential support area. So you do get a confirmed second entry short here, but now it also looks like it's about to fail. But you're not going to go long either because this is where the EMA is. EMA is starting to act a little bit more as a restriction or resistance compared to like something like yesterday where the EMA wasn't reliable pretty much that at all in the early stages because you had prices going up and going down, going up, going down. It was just kind of a roller coaster. Here, it's a little bit more deliberate. You see the EMA is acting as a little bit of a resistance. The prices keep chopping. It looks like it's just sideways now. This is just creating range. I'm just kind of staying out of it for the time being. Pushes down. It has a failed breakout of this trading range, but I'm not really ready to go long yet because the overall bias does look like it's coming down. You have first entry short. You might have a second entry short here. You have a second entry short follow through, so it is a second entry short confirmed now. So new low, first entry short, second entry short. It might be bouncing and out this resistance here, but it falls a little short, but it might be just close enough. So when it hits here, I'm actually looking for lower high. And I see this potential orange up channel because it actually could be 2 legs or it could be just one big leg. It is a break the orange up channel, testing the high. Tested the high, might be reversing back down now into this range. Pushes down and through, but by the time it pushes down to the other side, there's no clean setup I think is worth taking. Pushes down, breaks through the low side, kind of has this quadruple bottoming out here, pushes up. So here's what's interesting. This blue trading range, I'm not so sure the high side's in play now. I'm more concentrating that the range could be this red resistance line. You do have a new low here. It's the first entry short pullback. You have a confirmed second entry short, but it's a bad signal bar. I'm looking for a lower high now, but you don't get a lower high. It kept pushing up. So now I'm just sitting. By the time it gets all the way up to here, I drew this spike in a channel, and I'm not really looking to go short now because there's no real lower high to help convince me to take a short to push the trade back in here. So now it gets choppy. It starts moving its way back down. You get a failed second entry long here, so it's like a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long. Second entry long has failed. Second entry long has failed. Depending on how, I'm going to go ahead and move this out. Depending on how you drew this, if you had it here, I actually had it slightly closer to this. because I like this touch, this touch. Initially, I did have it tighter here. And when I had it tighter like this, it looked like it was a breakout, tested the low, but it kept going. So I had a second trend line, which eventually became this channel, drawn something closer to this. I wasn't sure if it was a breakout or not, but it does have a one touch, two touch, third touch confirmation, decent signal bar, enough room to the lows, and enough room before you hit a possible support. So I actually thought this was a possible trade, a failed second entry long with an EMA rejection right here. And since it's coming down, depending on how you drew it, it could still be in your red channel or it could be pushing back down through the red channel. Decent signal bar close at the low would have worked. Now it also sets up a lower high, but you don't know it's a lower high at the time. You suspect it could be a lower high, but I call it an almost trade because I don't like that this lower high, if you enter it, by the time it closes, you enter, say, right here at the low of this bar or one tick below, you're going to run into the concern that there might be a bounce point right here. Whereas when you entered previously at this failed second entry long, you have a lot more room. You have a lot more room and momentum to deal with as opposed to hitting a potential support area. So called an almost trade. Don't like the lower high if you didn't take the second entry long failure. Prices then continue moving down, breaks. I'm expecting a test of this red down channel, but it starts moving sideways. Consolidating, it does start moving down, hits this low side of this support area. No real trade here. This also made a measured move, one leg down, pull back, second leg down. But although it made a measured move here and a bounce, one touch, two HUD touch, if this had been a better signal bar, contextually you might think, okay, it's going to start reversing, but you don't have a good confirmation yet. You do have it look like it's reversing. This could be a support. So here I'm looking for a higher low. You never get the higher low. So that's how I might just kind of abandon thinking of going long just yet. Break of this red up channel, test the highs, coming back down. It's just getting a little noisy. The market's trying to figure itself out. It starts moving what I think is going up this green up channel, but doesn't fit quite well, so I don't trust it too much. You have a localized high. It's hitting this, which I wasn't sure because this was my original red line, which I thought was an extension or expansion of this blue trading range. And I just extended it all the way out because I just noticed that prices are reacting to this line. But whether it's a support or a resistance or part of a bigger range, I don't know. But I do see a new low. It's a first entry long pullback. I see a second entry long. I actually thought this was a decent setup. Okay, so it's a break of this red down channel has broken, made two attempts and tested the low. This green up channel needs to test the high. I drew this gray larger trading range because it had two touch confirmations, kind of a touch confirmation up here. So it wasn't colored in at the time, but I was keeping in mind that I could be in a gigantic range. Since it made two legs down and measured move, it could make two legs up. So it did make these two legs here off this red or this orange line, one leg up, second leg, but it also could be just one big leg like this green up channel. So I kept that in mind, and I liked this trade because it was a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This one engulfed the terrible signal bar completely, but it moved a couple ticks below and then engulfed it, closed at the high. So I was thinking this red down channel is played out, testing the low. Green could be trying to test the high. There's enough room for a quick scalp before I run into potential any kind of resistance here. So this would have given you a 1, maybe 2 point scalp. 2 points for sure if you entered right here. And then it actually comes back down, and this is actually where I take my one and only trade. It's a higher low confirming the first entry long pullback, second entry long, higher low. This line was actually a little higher. And I thought, is there a possible also triple test here? I like the strong engulfing bar. EMA isn't really, it's kind of lost its importance right here because it's a little sideways, but just contextually, I'm thinking it's one leg up, potential second leg up, but it could be one big leg up, and it could be trying to push to the high side. But entered with deeper limit order, one tick above this guy, came back, picked me up, and gave me the 6 tick scalp. So I wasn't really going for 2 points anymore. I'm just trying to improve my accuracy. And of course, your accuracy has to be higher if you reduce your profit target, but at least it doesn't impact me more because I know when I take a loss, it does it does. Still working on it psychologically, but it does impact me and increases the probability I might get triggered. So 2 point scalp, I think you would just barely get out, and it's debatable whether this candle would have gotten you out or not, because if it doesn't, this candle would have stopped me out because my stop was actually below this guy. So this candle would have stopped me out. So quick 6 tick scalp. Prices then continue moving, starts pushing up. Looks like it's moving up this orange up channel. I also saw that this could be the one leg up, sideways. Looks like it's 2 legs down, one leg down, pull back, second leg, and then a second measured leg up. So this guy, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this guy for now, just clean up the mess. So it pushes up. I'm thinking, is this in a potential channel? Because this could be a fail breakout, could be moving back in. Watching carefully, it breaks and tests the high, but as it's doing that, it kind of hits a sideways consolidation, comes back down. I'm watching to see if it's going to bounce off the EMA or if this fail breakout is going to create a fail breakout on the low side. But it's a little hard to trust this yellow up channel at the moment because it really has 1 touch, 2 touch confirmation. High side doesn't really even confirm that well. I'm going to move it up here because I eventually got up there. So I'm watching to see what happens at the EMA. It reacts barely, and it starts pushing back down. Hits the low side, it creates a new high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. I like the second entry long the same reason I like this second entry long. Break of this red down channel has tested the low, technically here, but it made a second attempt here. I like that this trigger bar is engulfing this mediocre signal bar, and it closed near the high. Again, like this one, I'm not that concerned about the EMA. I do have a 1 touch, 2 touch, 3rd touch confirmation now. So I was thinking there's a possible trade here. So I think it would have been good to enter right at the highs or 1 tick above. And right here would have given you a 1 or 2 point scalp, or in my case, 6 ticks. Pushes up, it's sideways consolidation again. You have a new low. First entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short technically has failed, but I don't really like this failure because there is a potential resistance area here because it had trouble here, and came back down. It could have trouble again. Pushes back down, and I think I'm in a trading range. So now touches a 4th touch confirmation. So let's say 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, but it's failing to hit the high side now. So I'm just watching carefully. Pushes out. It's a fail breakout here, I'm thinking a corresponding fail breakout here. So my hope is after this, the next couple of bars moves back into this trading range, and then the next few bars, it creates a second entry long or some kind of higher low bouncing off this yellow up channel with the EMA closer. So that's my hope that the setup's going to occur. So far it looks like it might be playing out, pushes down, it does bounce, but this is a terrible signal bar. I don't like it. The follow through isn't that great, so you technically have a new high, first entry long, but these 3 bars are red. I don't really like that, so I'm actually looking for another bounce here. So the new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short bounce here, and a failure. It doesn't break below, and it just kind of keeps going. So unfortunately, this is a setup that never happened. Now it comes back down. I was watching this carefully. It breaks through, starts moving down, creates a second entry long right here, but I call it an almost trade. So technically, you have a new high. Looks like this big gray range might be in play. And I wasn't sure, but I had this red line drawn here as it looks like it's support. So if a new high, first entry long pullback, you have a second entry long, but the second entry long here called an almost trade because unlike this one and this one you have a break of this orange down channel, comes down, it tests the first time, but it never broke below the low. If you look at the previous setup, there's a new low here. So this channel coming down, just like this orange one, this red one came down, broke, tested low, tested it a second time, and then it reversed up. So created your second entry long with the low here reversing up. Same thing here. It's this red down channel, broke, tested low here on this red neutral looking candle. Then it came back and then tested a second time. Then it reversed and it engulfed it completely. Both times it engulfed it nicely but closed at the high. This one isn't the same case because it has a first entry long pullback, second entry long. This came down, it didn't test the low. I call it an almost trade because after the fact, when it creates the second entry long, this setup isn't the same as these two. These two look very similar. This one is a psych and a fake out. Plus, these two had the benefit of being inside this larger yellow up channel while this one had already broken out. So now I'm actually just looking for a higher low. But the higher low shows up here, but it never broke above. So I can't trust this higher low yet. Now it is a higher low, but the trade has already moved too far. It looks like it's a spike in an up channel. And it creates a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here. It's a decent signal bar, but it's kind of a little ambiguous. It's a little out in the middle of nowhere. Creates a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I do have this drawn as a trend line coming down. So it has one touch, two touch, three touch. Unfortunately, this is a bad signal bar. You have a confirmed second entry short now. I'm looking for a lower high, ideally inside this red down channel. And then you finally get this lower high here. So I got what I wanted, except I don't like the setup. It's a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short pushback, comes back down, creates a lower high. It has a fourth touch confirmation of this red down channel resistance. The problem is I noticed this had one attempt, two attempts. It did break through, and a third attempt. So clearly there's some kind of resistance, some kind of support here. So my concern is if I try to sell, I'm going for a 6-tick scalp. You're just going to be barely getting out before you hit this previous area where it looked like it had trouble, might stumble. So it pushes down, and in this case, it flushes down. So unfortunately, I wasn't on this trade, but I'm okay with that. Prices continue moving down, breaks out of this red down channel. Looks like it's moving down this orange down channel. This orange down channel, I tried to have it. So I actually tried to fit it as best I could because there's a breakout here, but when I try to capture this breakout, then the low side doesn't fit as well. Because then you don't really have too many confirmations. So I kind of picked the best two evils. Something about right here. Actually, I think I had it right here. Had a failed breakout, continuation down, break, tested low, thinking the down push of this orange down channel is played out. Prices might be moving back into the larger range. Starts moving up. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short, it's a bad signal bar. And reverses, starts moving back up. No way to get in on here, unfortunately. I'm looking for a potential bounce off of here. Unfortunately, you don't really get a clean second entry long. You only technically have a first entry long. You could say there's a break of this orange down channel, tested the low right here. You could also say there's one touch, two touch, three touch, but I need a higher low confirmation to feel safe. You might have a higher low here, but I just didn't like this doji bar. If it's not really a doji bar, but this more neutral bar, if this tick actually came down, touched the EMA, bounced up, I would have felt a little more confident, or at least closed at the high. But here it tells me this tug of war could still be in play because you have a long wick here and a long wick, relatively speaking, to the size of the candle, which is up. Kind of starts moving sideways. This gets a little noisy. I'm not sure I really like taking a trade here because it's a little ambiguous. Looks like it's one leg, two legs up, maybe another leg down. Comes down. It doesn't touch this low of this larger gray trading range yet, but it might not need to. It might start moving back the other way. You only have a first entry short. You technically have a second entry short here. But keeping in mind, this is a break of this orange up channel. Whether you said this is a break and it tested the high, this could be one attempt up. It could still be a second attempt up. Break of this red down channel needs to test the low. So I have a conflicting idea that this needs to test the high and this also needs to test the low. Which one's going to win out? I'm not sure, so I left it alone. And then these follow-through candles is not very convincing because technically this one engulfs this guy. And then this guy engulfs this guy. So they're just getting a little bit progressively larger. Starts chopping. Looks like it has two legs down. First entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short. This is a decent signal bar. I like this, except I couldn't take it because it's a break of the green up channel, test the high. It's late in the day. This may or may not be in some kind of range. There could be a fail break. There could be a fail breakout here, maybe a corresponding fail breakout here. So it's just a little tight. Plus, if you look at the actual size, it's 68.56 to 68.52. So this is a 4-point range, and I'm going for 1.5. So that's quite large considering this range. So it just feels more congested. Even if you're going for a 1-point scalp, It also feels a little tight, a little congested. You'd have to have a very clean, very bulletproof setup. Prices continue moving, it just gets noisy, and it just kind of moves into the last 10 minutes of the day. So today, I think, was a little better than yesterday, but not by much. It did, well, at least I was able to identify a couple more setups, and I actually took one trade as opposed to yesterday where I couldn't make heads or tails of what was going on because it's just really noisy. Today wasn't that much better, but it was a little easier to find at least some support areas like this blue line. This red one I'm going to go ahead and delete for now just so I can talk. This blue line support, this red line support, looks like another support here. There were maybe a little bit more ranges here, more clean measured legs moves, but yes, I just think for sure price action is slowing down. Hopefully tomorrow being a Friday, maybe things will pick up. So hopefully that was helpful.